Welcome to the Horse Speak Book Club. I'm your host, Laura Wilsey, and we are embarking on a journey through the Horse Speak Trilogy. The Horse Speak team is dedicated to giving horses a voice and being their well-deserved advocates. We provide evidence-based knowledge of equine body language that is intrinsic, observable, and repeatable. We offer online learning courses, a weekly video club where we analyze our members' videos from herd dynamics to riding. We offer in-person clinics as well. If you would like to learn more, you can visit horsespeakacademy.com. This is a judgment-free zone. Everyone here has a varied horsemanship background, and we ask you to keep the environment safe so no one feels shamed in any way. So I'm going to begin on page 110. And conversation, are you ready? Yes, I'm ready. Sharon picked an arbitrary button on the horse in order to practice this conversation, the go away face button on the cheek, which is now called the cheek button. Of course, this conversation can occur with any of the buttons. Responsibility for this whole conversation falls on you. It doesn't matter how the horse responds. You are simply watching for his reply, no matter what it is. Nod and step up to your horse, holding out your knuckles to check in. Since you've been practicing greeting for some time, your horse should immediately be engaged and curious. Now move back about 4 feet and stand at a 45-degree angle to one side of the horse so you can see his go-away face buttons. You may want to scuff the footing to mark your starting place on the floor before you begin. Stand there, model your version of outer zero. Your relaxed position might include a cocked hip, or you may simply unlock your knees. Don't look directly at the horse, but instead perhaps at the blanket hanging on the outside of the stall door or out the window in the stall wall behind the horse. Hold your arms loosely by your sides or rest your hands in your pocket. Think of your zero trigger image, song, or memory for a moment. No matter how slight his reaction, the instant he acknowledges you in any manner, exaggerate your return to inner and outer zero by looking at the floor and blowing out a big breath. Play with this and just see how quiet you can get. Now engage your core energy again and look at the button on your horse's cheek. Again, as soon as he notices, look at the ground, rest one hip, and blow out a breath, finding inner and outer zero. Look up, focus on your horse, notice his reaction, look down, and relax. At zero, try to sneak a peek at your horse's face. You'll often get a much larger reaction when you take the pressure off than when you apply it. In dialogue form, here's what this conversation says between human and horse. Are you ready? Yes, I'm ready. Good. I'll go back to zero. Okay, I'll go back to zero. I often have horses lift their heads when I stand up, and then they relax as fast as I do. It almost becomes comical. In this version of the conversation, you move back and forth from 0 to level 1. You are working on calibration of expression when you look at a horse's button. Level 2 includes pointing at the button, either with your own finger or indirectly with a wave of a piece of string or a bit of cloth. Level 3 includes characteristics of 1 and 2 with an added step toward the horse and maybe touch. 4 includes all the previous movements, now in exaggerated fashion, perhaps along with the touch with a finger or whip end. And another step closer so you can apply stronger pressure, maybe even include clucking noises. To find clarity, going through all the levels of intensity at least 3 times. If your horse turns away, draw him back with a greeting knuckle touch. I doubt he will, because this should be really interesting to him. Clarifying your intensity levels dissolves a surprising amount of confusion. Repeat the steps described in the conversation on page 111. Begin again at your inner and outer zero. Engage your core energy. Focus on the go away face button. And as soon as you see any reaction, drop back into zero. But increase the pressure of your X so the dialogue is level 2. You. May I ask you to move your head over? Your horse. I see you are asking. You. Good. That's all I want. I'm going back to zero. Your horse? I'll go back to zero too. Then tell him, then insist. The point of this is not to move the horse's head or desensitize him to your request. The point is for you to learn how to be like a horse. This is not a yielding space conversation. You are just practicing phasing your intensity levels. More importantly, you show your horse what you look like when you are phasing up and down the levels. Your challenge is to learn how to retreat to zero, faster and faster, the instant you see any flicker or tension from the horse. All right, and we have Mustang Sally, you're next.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Conversation, the waltz. This is a great activity when leaving the stall or returning to it. Hold on half a second. I just want to close this because it's going to make noise. Okay, sorry. This is a great activity when leaving the stall or returning to it. 1. Stand slightly to one side of your horse's head, facing him. 2. Focus on one of his front hooves in level 1 intensity. 3. With your foot on the same side, take a big step backwards. 4. Stop. No matter what his reaction, go to zero and praise him. 5. If your horse moved the hoof forward, focus level 1 intensity at the other front hoof and take another big step backward. If he didn't, simply try again. 6. Stop again and go to zero. 7. Repeat saying one step out loud to coordinate your own micro movements. Have him come forward to you, one hoof at a time, as you step back with the corresponding foot. 8. Try suspending your foot in one step and see if your horse will hesitate with his own foot in the air. 9. This is the beginning of dancing with your horse. Now look at the front hoof closest to you. Begin to lift your foot on the same side. This time, move your foot toward the horse with level 1 intensity. With practice, your horse will begin to see your intent and step back with just that one foot at the same time you move it forward. As you step that foot backward, returning it to its starting point, he may bring his foot forward, a bit like a waltz. 10. Reward him with a breath and return to zero. Even if he just looks at your foot, he's trying to figure out what it is you're asking. You want me to keep going?
Yes, please.
Okay. Some horses are more sensitive than others. When trying this conversation with a less sensitive one, you may need to indicate the hoof you are focusing on with a crop. Hold the crop in the hand on the same side as the foot you are planning to step with. Start a little farther away from the horse, still slightly to one side. As you pick up the foot you are going to step with, point the crop at the hoof you want him to move forward or backward. If you have to go to a higher intensity level, just tap on the hoof wall with the end of the crop. When your horse moves the foot, take a big breath and go to zero before you engage your core energy and deliberately return to your starting point with the foot that you moved. You can begin the dance by stepping back with your own foot to bring the horse's foot forward, or by stepping forward and asking the horse to step back. Either way is fun. Once your horse understands and begins to enjoy this as much as you do, practice it standing at his shoulder, facing the same direction he is. Move your left foot to cue his left, and your right to cue his right hoof. You can step back and forth or back several steps or any combination, and the horse will follow your feet with his. Eventually, you will be able to cross step next to your horse, and he will step one leg across his other, moving sideways along with you. You will do more with these fun feet conversations later at Liberty. See page 162. When you play with your horses, it teaches you to be more lighthearted. Bringing this happier attitude to your riding and work with horses will benefit you both. Figure 7.7.
Right. Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Danuta, you're next.
Right. Can you hear me now?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Phasing down. Being at inner and outer zero, physical and mental, in front of a horse is a practice in mindfulness. With what you've learned in this chapter, you'll begin to notice when you have phased up in intensity, but didn't really mean to ask anything, and you can catch yourself and return to zero. As well as Sharon understands horses, she is still a human and knows how we think. Many of us will take away from this discussion how it feels to phase up our intensity and how to correlate our movements to each level. If, on the other hand, we think like horses, we'll be more interested in the downward phasing of intensity. Remember, horses look for any excuse to phase down and have peace and quiet. How many of us have been taught that all the time we are with our horses, we must stand tall and stay focused to show our dominant position? In the horse's world, it's just the opposite. The alpha horse is powerful enough to move a number of horses at once with just a glance. However, the alpha does not keep the pressure on when a request has been answered. The leader immediately retreats to zero. Keeping pressure on a horse, even inadvertently, is the fastest way to create resistance. When you release the pressure, you gain respect. To create a delightful connection, you must gain self-awareness. Any resistance you meet tells you how the horse feels about his relationship with you. If he moves too fast in answer to a request, he's not really listening. He's just trying to avoid you or rush an answer for fear of getting it wrong. If he moves too slowly, he is stoic, sticky, or stubborn. With stoic and stubborn, you have to reward more often until he gets it. No matter which end of the spectrum your horse is on, you must release the pressure and phase down, showing the horse that you're as effective, fair, and considerate as any horse would be. When your body has memorized how to phase up, and more importantly, how to phase down in intensity, you will become more subtle. It may not look as if you are accomplishing much in the conversation in this step, but after having them several times, your horse will be able to see your zero. He'll know how you look when you are not putting pressure on him. He will know what your body looks like when you're asking a question. He can relax around you and feel safe because he knows how to read you and how to predict your movements. Fine-tuning, approach and retreat. In step 1, we discussed approach and retreat and its uses in horse speak. Now it's time to use what we know about intensity levels to improve the way we use this technique. Frightening object. Horses naturally approach and retreat from frightening objects. This means we can apply this conversation to change a horse's mind about something he's unsure of. Say your horse does not like fly spray. At 0 intensity, inside and out, hold the fly spray close to the horse. When he reacts, quickly take it away. The fly spray is the object of pressure, but you are not. You must not add extra intensity from your own body to the pressure of the fly spray. Now that you've been through the previous exercises, your horse knows what you look like when your body language is at 0. Now your horse will be more willing to participate in stages of pressure presented by the bottle of fly spray. So you repeat approach and retreat with the bottle nearby, touching him with the spray pointed away from him in the air, and eventually on him. Always, the important thing is to take the pressure away as soon as the horse reacts. This builds trust. He sees you as sensitive to his replies. Though you may have to repeat this conversation, eventually you will not be concerned at all about the bottle of fly spray. Injury. You can use an approach and retreat pattern with an injured or frightened horse. It might look like this. You glance at the wound and take a breath, then look away from it. Look at the ground before you look back. Move into the horse's personal space, stroke his body above or below the wound. Look away again. That is retreat. Breathe again, gently, gradually moving closer to the wound, repeating this approach and retreat conversation as you clean and treat and wrap the wound. Catching. Approach and retreat is also an effective way to catch the horse. Approach, and the moment he looks at you, go to 0, look at the ground, and do all shucks. Maybe even say out loud, I don't want you. This retreat on your part caters to their curious nature. I've had runaway horses come to me when I've done this. They were fascinated by Jean's actions. Knowing how to retreat to 0 and regulate your body intensity can be the keys in changing the ways of hard-to-catch horses. Do you want me to continue? Hello?
Did we lose Laura?
I'm here.
Yeah.
Okay, that's okay. Is it my turn?
Yeah, you can start. Yeah.
Fine tuning, go away and come back. Remember how we learned the difference between approach and retreat and go away and come back in step 1? Approach and retreat is the way you enter another space, and go away and come back is how you send someone out of your space or ask for her to return. Sharon has developed conversations similar to approach and retreat, except now you are asking your horse to back up, i.e. go away, then come to you, i.e. come back. Not only is this probably the first conversation he ever had with his mom, but all horses understand being pushed away and invited back, as it is what they do to each other all day in the cohesive group that is their herd. The idea for you to see how small a sending message it takes for you to have the horse move away from you, even the slightest lean or shift. Then see how small a beckoning message you can make to have him return to you. You practice managing your intensity levels so you're ready to see how subtle you can be. Conversation. This hay is for you. Another great conversation can happen over a pile of hay. Using hay as a conversation tool is very effective, but be mindful that some horses have issues around food, so safety first. In a paddock, scatter a few leaves of hay and stand on them. Beckon your horse to come to you from wherever he is, presumably near the hay. As soon as he even looks at you, retreat to 0, leave his space, and let him eat. Return to the hay in X posture, looking to now move him off. However, look for a small indication of his willingness to go away, such as an ear flick, rather than driving him away completely. Repeat this, demonstrating inner and outer 0 as dramatically as you can. Pretend to eat hay, breathe slowly and deeply. Fine-tuning go away and come back gives you a good idea about how your horse will respond to your need for space or invitation to approach. Some will return to you with tact and gentleness. Some will come too fast or crowd you. Your horse may not know what intensity level he should be in around you. This is part of what we are working on here. By using horse speak in a conversation rooted in horse protocol, most horses will be open to a send or beckon, even if only a few steps. Take what is offered. Conversation. Go back, come forward. Stand in front of your horse, just to one side of his head facing his tail. Ask him to back up using level 1 intensity and focus on the backup button. Phase your intensity upward, pointing and gesturing toward or even touching the backup button if needed until your horse shows any reaction or a willingness to yield. Even when the horse's response is simply to lean backward, go back to 0. You must always acknowledge a try. Now step backward and change into a beckoning comeback pose. Bow slightly and form your O posture, making a circle with your arms. Bend your knees into a slight crouch. Say, "Come here," in a lighthearted way. As your horse leans or comes towards you, drop to 0 on the outside and in. Reward him with an aw shucks or a big breath sigh. Repeat this 3 times and observe the difference in his response once the horse knows what you are asking. When you are comfortable with the steps, try this conversation inside your horse's stall with him, loose or in a halter and lead. Holding conversations with him in his stall may create less resistance when you take him other places. The stall, aisle, driveway, and arena present different thresholds. Each location has preconceived associations for you both. Conversation, beckoning for bonding. When your horse is at liberty, explore the follow me button. Press lightly but firmly with your whole palm on his upper neck for a second or two. Then turn and walk slowly. In horse language, you've just asked the horse to follow you. Your horse may be amazed you know about this and what it means. His mother used it, and it encourages trust and connection. If he doesn't follow, return and try again. Chances are the horse will at least follow the pressure of your hand as you remove it, moving his neck toward you. When you see your horse holding his head low with sideways ears, he may be trying to beckon another horse to him. This is the horse equivalent to your O. It is also the gesture of apology he makes to another horse. Let's say one horse is really crabby and drives another horse away from the hay pile with more force than necessary. You may see the offending horse apologize with his sideways ears, with a low head and soft face, eventually transitioning to bringing his ears more forward and reaching his neck long and low. He is making the horse version of O. This gesture is also how your horse draws you to him. When he does it along with a visible huffing with his nostrils, you may start to feel a fluttering in your core or a tingling sensation in your heart or stomach. Your autonomic nervous system is responding physically to his beckoning. Whenever you are with any animal, you are influenced by this phenomenon. Some horses will follow you right away when asked. Others want to follow but are afraid. They may have been punished for following a beckoning cue in the past when a human did not realize what she was saying in the language of the horse. You may notice your horse is stuck with a lowered head, relaxed ears, and a yearning look on his face, as if begging for a treat. Yet he still cannot bring himself to move. Just as you've tuned into your own subtle levels of intensity, so you should tune into his. His intention to follow you might be indicated with the slightest lean. Praise your horse for the effort and praise yourself for noticing. Caution. When a horse follows you, he may think you're inviting him to drive you forward, and he may flatten his ears. Keep an eye on facial expressions if your horse is typically alpha. Be prepared to turn and do X.
Conversation, horse hug. Another beckoning conversation can turn into a hug. One horse wraps his neck around another to express deep friendship. 1. Start exploring the horse hug by standing with your back to the shoulder button on one side. Your body position tells the horse you trust him. Reach one hand to the horse's cheek on his other side. With your free hand, scratch under his jawbone, tickle his chin, or softly stroke under his throat latch. 4. As you do this, encourage the horse to bring his head toward you and across your body with the hand that is on the cheek. He may well pull his face away because this is similar to how a predator would flip the horse from under his neck. Keep a "how curious" attitude and notice if he braces against your request. Don't put a lot of pressure on him, but also don't quit easily. 5. Ask at least 3 times on each side. Don't be in a hurry. Just hang out with him, and when he does yield his face in your direction, even a little bit, release immediately and praise him. When he wraps you in a full hug, reach up with your free hand and stroke his forehead at the friendly button at the base of the forelock. You are not training him to do a trick or forcing anything on him. You are just encouraging the horse to hear your request. I've had horses yawn into my hands during this conversation. 7. Sometimes you'll see one horse take a big sniff of another's neck. This is a beckoning conversation on an emotional level and a step you can add here. When you sniff your horse's neck, you tell him you really like him. Your horse may relax his ears sideways when you breathe in his smell at the neck. When he allows you to hug his neck and breathe in his scent, your friendship will deepen. I sometimes have my students sniff their horses' necks before they ride.
Thank you very much. Thank you to all the readers today, as we have now completed step number 7. And so if you have any comments, please raise your virtual hand, or you can just put something in the chat and we will go from there. So I think one of the keynotes of this particular section that we read is about noticing the smallest try. And that is the keynote of when we're starting to do these conversations, is that we're not expecting a big demonstration of a response. We're looking for an ear, a breath, a twiggle, which is a twitch wiggle of the skin. So the buddy button, which is the shoulder, might twiggle, or even the jump up button might twiggle and be like, I feel vulnerable about this. So noticing these little nuances that the horse is replying to us with their body. And with that being said, it is important to film yourself in this process. It's really one of the only ways that one can truly learn this language, and to be able to talk with another species is by filming yourself, because you have to be able to be objective with this, the way this works, because it's based on observation. And when you're in a conversation with a horse, so much is happening. Like, you really are going a million miles an hour standing still, and they're responding to the smallest things. And this is just, again, the practice. And that's why, for my personal journey of learning this language, because this is Sharon Wilsey, this is her mind, this is her invention. She had help from Gretchen to be able to write this book, but this is her life's work. In phase 1 of her life's work is in these pages of this book. And so I've had to learn this. And when the silver lining of COVID was, we started our video club back almost 5 years ago. Can you believe it's been 5 years almost since COVID? I mean, well, it has been now since we got the lockdown and stuff. But anyway, we started the video club, and because we have been analyzing these videos forward and backward in literally one frame at a time, my personal learning of the language has enhanced incredibly. And so some of the folks who are on the club have gone back to like video club meeting number 1 and are like, wow, Laura, you're not the same person. And it's not, I don't need praise or anything of that nature, but it's just like you can witness my learning curve. And folks who have been on the club for a long time, these are the folks who have, like, some of them are certified practitioners, you know, that they have put the time in, done the drills, and got the skills to be able to learn this thing. And I've used this example in the past about, you know, we travel to Germany at least twice a year. And the fact is, I can say hello, danke, bitte, you know, very Wasser, toilette, like I've got some very limited words that I can say, I think quite well, where, you know, sometimes Germans are like, don't even try. Your accent is horrible. But either way, why am I saying that? Is because I'm not putting the time into learning Deutsch. So therefore, I'm not getting any results from learning, you know, from learning that language. I'm just getting by. Luckily, most folks speak English. But if you want to learn horse speak, you know, there is a time investment of time to be able to learn this. And so again, being able to, like, for the best bang for your buck, in learning horse speak is the video club, $30 a month. If you're not in it, check it out. Go to our website. And then we also have Building Your Foundation, which basically is a 12-week, technically 13-week course. And it takes you through this book, the first book. And then if you're into the Holy Moly, Doing Everything Means Something is a 52-week program. You get 52 weeks of learning, and that takes you through the third book. And even with that being said, we're still making more discoveries because the horses are really talking. And these basic conversations are what get you started, because noticing the small changes within the conversation you're having is where you get the yes. You see that try. You take the 4 steps away from the horse and do the 45-degree angle. You know, like that is the best thing to do. When in doubt, swish your tail and step away. If that's like, if you get confused, be like, listen, horse, I don't know what the heck you're saying to me. I'm going to take a break and just stand here and see if something comes to me. Because that is even asking the question, like, what are you saying? Like, I'm struggling. Can you help me? And, you know, and sometimes we might hear words in our head and be like, you know what? That seems reasonable. Or the horse might do something else and back themselves up, or, you know, take a step away. So all these things are in comment. They're in conversation because the horses are never not talking. They are so chatty. It's unbelievable when the doors into their inner world open up. It blows your mind. And still, you know, this book came out in 2016. It still is blowing our mind every single darn time we go out to a horse. Even my horses I've had for 15 years, you know, there's still these moments of like, oh my gosh, this stuff really works, right? And we have these new hinnies, mule and a donkey, and now the conversations are unbelievable, you know, because they are hesitant and they have their trauma and all that. And so then we're able to bring such enrichment to their world. And the profound changes, I think we've had them now maybe 2 months at the most. So it's they're all growing and learning so much. So I'm gonna check out the chats. The video fun is club is so good, so much to learn every single time. Yes, and today is going to be a power pack because Sharon has also been sick and she's still not 100% yet. But we didn't have club last week, so therefore we're going to be doing 4 videos at 1 and at 7. So let's see, Violet. Thank you for your comment. I really want to try these conversations we just read. I've never gotten fun with feet to work, but these first 2 conversations in the stall look like they will teach me a lot. Perfect. I'm glad you're going to try those out. Yeah. And it is just that one step. Can you even start with the cheek? can you move your cheek over? That's it. Because it's just, we're practicing negotiating the face space. And if you do end up having, because it goes from like space and time, meaning I'm pointing my finger with intention to touch the cheek button, then if you have to make contact, if you feel the slightest muscle like move, release and take a step away. Because then they're yielding. And so we want to, as it said, wherever it did when we read, celebrate the smallest try, because that is their effort in trying to yield the space in front. So it's I'm so glad you're going to try these out. And I think, the way they're written is pretty succinct. I mean, I felt like I could see the pictures. So I hope that you have fun doing that, because that's also part of this, is to have fun. It's so good to go back and do these things again. They are simple, but so profound. Absolutely. Releasing at the right time, I find so tricky. Yeah. Yeah, and that's just the thing, because you're not looking, again, when you're doing these beginning stages, we're not looking for a huge response. We're looking for a lean or an ear, even an ear, So it's just like, because then we can be like, okay, first one, ear, perfect. Okay, let's try again. Now, can I have your face move? Okay, great. Then we can go cheek, neck, shoulder. Can you move your foot? Oh, you took a lean back. Great. So everything, it's like a scaffold. In teaching, it's a scaffold of learning. And so therefore we're just, celebrating all these little tries, because that's where, and I think for us as human beings in school, there might have been these moments within ourselves that we didn't like get the praise we thought we should have. Right? So we can praise our horse in a way that we wanted to be praised, because there is always that 12-year-old kid inside of us when we're with horses that does come out for us, because that's where some of us did have these kid experiences with horses, and now we're adults, and the stuff that we did as kids, it's so different. Horses have such a different expectation on adults than they do with children. So yes, and it is the praise that teaches. Thank you, Suzanne. And so even a breath, good boy, good girl, taking a step away. And I am using that deeper voice because, hello, body, I have this body. And when I know from my personal journey of learning about myself, because our bodies didn't really come with an owner's manual. It really did. It should have. But Horse Speak can help us with our body manual. And I know for me, if I start talking really fast, then I've become ungrounded in my body, and I'm basically becoming a talking head. And so I know that when I'm having more breathy, deep voice, I am in this body being able to teach and listen also. Because it's not just about talking, it is about deep listening. And that is the thing, that's the motto of the year, that we can say so much, but do we take the time to listen? So that's what's really important. And so again, I know when I start getting yappy, like a yappy dog, la la la, good horse, da, 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 I'm up here. I'm not down. So the more we can be congruent with what we're saying, and so then what we're saying, we're actually feeling, because again, yappy dog, it's not feeling anything. It's not listening. It's just talking. So I'm going to get back to the chat. Let's see here. What do we have? Miss Nancy, actually, hold on. Violet, thank you. When I first read the book, I was so hungry for information. I took notes, but I kept on reading and reading. Now the book club is helping me go back to steps I skipped. Perfect. Yeah, right? You need time. I'm a slow processor of information. It is like you read one conversation and go and do the thing. because it's like there's so many details in this book that, yeah, you could read it through, but then it's like, how many different concepts are within this book? It's mind-blowing. So then, yes, I'm so glad that this has helped everyone slow down a bit, because we want to learn, but then the body and the mind needs to catch up. So let's see what else we got. Miss Nancy, let's see. It is so important to remember to give space as a release to the horse when they give us space. I find I tend to linger in the horse's space instead of taking a step away. Yes, absolutely. When in doubt, step out. I should write that down. When in doubt, step out. I just came up with that. That's the other fun thing about doing this work. Um, hold on. Is we do try to make it fun. Come up with these sayings that are rhyming, because then that will help you as the end user remember it. Because again, this isn't about Sharon and I and the other folks who've been doing this for a long time, our practitioners, having great conversations with horses. It's about you. It's about you learning and understanding and being able to have this innate in your body, because this was innate. Body language was innate back in the day when we were babies. That's how our moms were able to communicate with us and understand that what we needed. And we were able to communicate what we needed. And my grandson, he struggled with talking. He didn't really start talking till he was like almost 4, 3.5, 4. And I knew this was going to happen. He was going to start talking in full sentences, but he was able to get all his needs met by his body language. He didn't need to talk, because we understood him, every single thing. And we would talk to him and be with him. And now he just doesn't, it's so beautiful to listen to him talk. And his word choices are profound. And his vocabulary is probably like that of at least a 3rd to a 4th grader, or even higher. I don't know, because that's not my jam. But he is so talkative, and just like, it's just beautiful. He's so inventive. It's been so fun to watch him to develop. When in doubt, step out. So that's the bottom line. Give the horse space and breath. That is such a keynote of this whole thing. And even we need that too. When we are in conversations with someone, and if the energy gets up, we can halt the conversation, swish your tail. Look, everyone's triggered here. No one's listening to each other. It's all gone to crap. Let's take a walk or do something that's re-regulating, so then we can come back together and continue the conversation. Because as humans, unfortunately, when we don't feel heard, we might start escalating our intensity level, and to the point where we might lash out and say something that we didn't mean to say, because we get frustrated. So the more that we can practice that with humans, the more we can also practice that with our horses too. Yes, let's see. Violet, when I first read the book, I was so keen to get all the information that I read too fast and missed a whole lot. Yeah. Yes, again, yeah, this is a textbook, y'all. Like, it is a 12-week program. And technically, like, I think how we're doing it, half a chapter each week is more than enough information to take in. So I think we're able to go at a good pace. We're only reading for barely a half an hour, so and it's so much meat and potatoes. It's really great. Let's see. I so love these early things because they are the early steps of relationship. And to me, that's the most wonderful gift of Horse Speak. Thank you, Suzanne. Absolutely. It is about the relationship, and we are in a paradigm shift of how horses are in our lives, where not that long ago, I mean, for real, it's, 2025, that horses were a main part, just over 100 and something years ago, were a main part of our life. We were highly dependent on them, and that they were with us every single day, all day. And now it is more of a relationship industry, not a working relationship industry. And yeah, horses work for a living, they do therapy now and all that, but it's not like what they originally were doing, right? So, and because we did spend every day, all day with our horse, there is that natural relationship. Like my dog, she's in the house with us most of the time. And so therefore, we've been able to figure out what Willow Pillow needs, which is snoring on her toddler bed is her favorite part of the day. But then she'll ring the bell to go outside. So, and we didn't even train her to do that. She's like, I figured it out. Oh, if I ring this bell on the door, you guys will let me out. So it's like we figure it out. We figure out a way to navigate with our cats and our dogs. And the cats, of course, we're slaves to them because they rule our life, right? So anyway, but with horses, again, we're not spending every day all day with them. And we might be out there with an hour and maybe even a half hour of that we're scooping some poo and whatever, but we're expecting them to like demanding relationship with them, and we're not putting the time in that we used to put in, again, like I said, when we were working with them to take the milk to market or get from A to B. And back in the day also, we didn't ride them. We used wagons and they pulled. So it's like even that part of the industry has changed where nobility rode, and folks that went to war rode, but families, it was like you can't ride a whole family on the back of a horse. You need the wagon and to carry the goods and all that stuff. So even that is so different. Let's see. That's a good idea. Choose a conversation and do it, right? Sometimes I write the steps down on index cards so I can keep them with me and look at them while I'm with the horse. Great idea, Suzanne. And that's actually part of one of the things that we are supposed to make is a field book guide. So as we go through, I did notice there was a typo, so that was good. I circled that. So you never know. There's so many words to edit that there's the is needs to be crossed out on one of the pages. And so when we have like the fine tuning approach in retreat, it is so important, especially like, for example, the picture shows the fly spray. So it's even presenting fly spray in the air from 5 feet away. If your horse is backing away from it, then it's like you back away too. We want to, as soon as you see that movement, that muscle twitch of movement away, take a step back, take the object away. That's with anything you're approaching your horse with. Even when you first start haltering a baby, like the more we step out of the space, the more they can build the trust with us. And that's just the bottom line. Any object, even any space, a threshold is a change. So therefore, if you're outside and you're going to go into the barn, you can be like, how about I stop, take a little therapy back up lean or a step back. I'm going to stick my head in the barn, check things out, make sure everything is safe. Because if one doesn't feel safe, human included, we are not able to be present. And there's also another layer of feeling love and connection. So, but first and foremost, if we don't feel safe, we can't even feel love and connection. And then we can't even be in a learning curve. So, if one feels safe, then we can pass go. So, we are working with a prey animal who is also a social species. And so, their needs are similar to our needs. And that is one of the main frames of what we've come to realize through all the studies, especially with looking at the mamas and the babies. We have a webinar series, Your Horse's First Teacher, and we are analyzing the first minutes of a horse hitting the ground. Being placed, hopefully. But there are things where there are mamas who are standing and giving birth, which is so tragic because then the babies can have injuries. But that's a whole nother story. So the mamas are teaching from the beginning about how to be with mama. And so this is really the ultimate goal is this should be called mama speak because mama said so from the moment, like I said, they hit the ground, they're teaching, they're stitching buttons together. They're going from, wither to hip. They're going, follow me down the neck, wither, hip, sit. They're really seeing and witnessing the baby and helping them, like massaging them to life, massaging them to get up within the first 15 minutes of life. They have to get up and start following, period, because they are meat on feet. And that's the big difference between us humans and horses. It's like when we're born, don't worry, I'll hold you, I will feed you, and you don't even need to lift your head up for like almost the first 6 months of your life, right? But the horses, it's like boom, they got to be able to follow mama, stick with mama, and that's being taught from the beginning. And so it's really fascinating if you're looking for and we're doing this analyzing video from domestic and also a wild herd that we met out in the Netherlands when we were out there. And we were totally blessed to be able to show up at this herd of a couple hundred horses, and 2 babies were born on the morning in which we were there. So we were there about 2 hours after the babies were born. And we can see there was a new mama and an elder mama, and the difference between the two, it's profound. It really is. And, roles in the herd play a role in what mama is teaching the baby. And so there's other variables too on what education these, horses are getting. But when we meet horses who have not had a healthy family system where they were raised by a herd of elders. So with mom, dad, aunties, and uncles, we do see like a horse growth and development. There's just a little bit of immaturity. We meet 22-year-old horses who act like they're 2. And it's because there's so many, it's quick industry. Get these horses sold, get them trained up, get them out of here. Horses doing so much stuff before the age of 5. And by the time they're 8, they're broken down because their mind is focused on growth and development of their body until 4 or 5 years old. Their brain isn't even developed enough to be actually learning. And that you can read books about that. That's out there that, horses balance self-carriage is their focal point in these at the beginning stages of their life, just like us. We had to learn and grow our body as we grew, because then you have those growth spurts in puberty time, and you're like, I don't even know how to use my body anymore. So it's really amazing. The horses are so similar to us, and if us humans, we didn't have good socialization and good coaching from our parents, then yeah, we might have had some bad behavior because we didn't learn. We didn't learn. We didn't feel safe. We didn't have, when we made a mistake, we got shamed and blamed and got yelled at or dismissed or what have you. There's things that happen to us that have created the adult that we are today. And that's a whole nother thing. You can check out Dr. Becky Bailey. She's got great stuff on YouTube. It's amazing. She's a youth educator, helping teachers be able to be better teachers and coach, but it's applicable to anyone, any parent, anywhere that you are in your life. You can really have some beautiful self-reflection if you're open to doing that, to help understand where we're coming from as a communicator, and rather being a responder to certain situations and not a reactor. And that's really the goal. We all have reasons for why we could be reactive, and the horses do too. And that's witnessing them witnessing them for who they are in front of us, and they may have reasons why they are acting out. And if a horse is acting out, it is usually from emotional stress, physical pain, the environment is freaking them out. And so if you have a horse who's reactive, the question is why and how may I help you? So I'm going to get back to the chat, and we're about done here for the day. This has been a great, great day. Leanne, thank you. I really appreciate the figures and photos of what the text is instructing us to do. It is difficult to take these books out and remember all the steps to practice. The horses are curious and want to know what I'm holding. That's cute. I love that. Be like, hey, check it out. I have this book and check out these facial expressions. So how can, the horses, it's cool to have, when we have that interested attitude, they will be like, yeah, let me see. And you could even show them, be like, hey, so what do you think about, I don't know, this picture? And they might even touch it if you're able to sacrifice your book, it's fun to present them in some words and be like, this is the century and this is us, sharing space and things of that nature. We have some cool advancements what we're doing with paper and pen and horses. So I have the same problem, and if there's wind, it's impossible, right? We need to get like spiral bound, like hard, that'd be an expensive, thing to create, but to have more of a field book, we do need to do this. So what you're saying is really enticing me to get the ball in the hole for that. Let's see, I've been watching the second session of the Mother in Full webinar. It's so interesting how Winnie was coaching the baby and Sharon's explanations made so much sense. Winnie pods so many times. Absolutely, right? Winnie is a fjord. She lives out in Oregon. Yes. And we were fortunate that the owner, Gwen, was able to have a night vision camera and run into the house just minutes after Winnie gave birth to Rosalind to be able to get these first conversations. So we have also on the video club, we have been going through some of the Rosalind and there's another baby, Nyota, that we've been studying also, so that you can check out some of these videos, but with the webinar, we are analyzing it and seeing, where are these conversations coming from. And Winnie she's a mama mare. She is the protector director of her herd. And so she is it's amazing to see her teach and coach and help that baby get her body to function in one unit and not stick legs sticking out like Bambi. There's a couple Bambi moments and you actually feel bad. You're like, oh no, little Rosalind, you're like this and your back leg is over here. And so it's been a beautiful, beautiful journey to see what these mares are doing just minutes after the foal hits the ground. So again, it was a pleasure sharing space with you today. We want to give you the gift that the horses gave to Sharon, which is the exact and specific nuances of how our body can communicate clearly with horses. And all we need to do is take the time to learn how. Again, we offer in-person clinics and online learning. Check out our website at horsespeakacademy.com. May you enjoy the journey of learning horse speak and having fun while doing so. Enjoy the rest of your day. Take care. Be well. I love you very much, and we'll see you next week.